You never know when this thing has to come off, just in case there's a turbo kit that goes on this car down the road. That's a joke. It's not going to be a turbo kit for this car. This is going to be a daily driven family car. Family SUV. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me, there's been some changes in the garage, so I figured I'd do a proper intro just to introduce you guys to a new car that has been added to the projects around here, as well as some work that I'm going to do on it. So what I ended up picking up is a 2006 Trailblazer. It's actually one of my favorite cars, SUVs, whatever you want to call it. I'll do a little bit more of a walk around of this car just so you can kind of see it, but it does have some stuff done to it. No, it's not forced induction, still a stock block, but it does have an intake, headers, etc. Some suspension work. Not in the greatest condition, but that's what the channel is about. I'm gonna go ahead and get it back to very good running state to make sure that we can actually drive around. And I actually have an SUV that's fairly fast with AC. So the first things that we are going to knock out as far as this project goes, there has been, so the truck actually came with a cutout. I don't know if I can show you guys here. Well, it actually came with the transmission leak as well, but we're gonna go over that here shortly. But it came with a cutout that's, let me see, show you guys here. It's actually right, oh man, it's kind of difficult trying to weave in between. There we go. All right, it came with a cutout here. It is a 3-inch cutout. It does have a switch. The problem is it is super, I don't know if I can get it to do it, but it is super loose. So as the car runs, that's basically what you hear. And it's very annoying, very loud. The other issue with the car is, as you can see here, when you look at that, okay, a little bit of malfunction here. When you look at, I apologize, guys. I'm trying to get in between this this quick jack here, which is nerve-wracking in itself. But anyway, so as you can see here, the truck is actually leaking from that seal over there. If you look closely, there's a little bit of that end of that drive shaft that looks very shiny. It almost looks like the drive shaft is out of the back of the transmission. It's actually not the case. What's happened is that seal, either somebody cut it or it's the wrong seal. Hence, we have this here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be blocking off the cutout for now. Actually, I don't know. The cutout's very loud, so I'm probably not going to use that. We are going to be installing this seal here, which is called the transmission end seal or something like that. It's kind of difficult to actually source because when I looked under the car and tried sourcing it, every single one that I looked at what I thought it was supposed to looked like this. So, you know, looking at this, looking under the car, I'm like, well, that's not the seal. But then after I put 2 and 2 together, you can actually see that this part here is the part that would cover that part of the shaft that's actually shiny. And then lastly, I do have some lighting stuff. So a couple of the lights are out inside the car. I decided to go ahead and get some brighter headlights because it does have aftermarket headlight housings but it still has the stock bulb. So went ahead and got something a little bit brighter for the inside, interior, fog lights, headlights, high-end, low beam. So I'm gonna do that as well, and then maybe take a look at the inside of the car. And I'll show you guys what that looks like and go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the way we're gonna change the seal out is that the drive shaft has to come out of the transmission, obviously, to get the seal out. In order to do that, it's actually a slip yoke, so that the shaft kind of rides in and out of that seal as the car bounces up and down, moves, what have you. We will take off these 4 bolts here, pop this joint out, and then I'm going to take this drive shaft and I'm going to pull it out and hope that all the transmission fluid doesn't just come leaking out, which I don't think it should, because the car is basically level. But one thing to remember is this is an 11 millimeter. You're going to have to get it with the 1/4 inch wrench. These aren't torqued down very much, simply because it's only holding this this joint here. So don't go crazy torquing it down when you do put this thing back together, because it's not really meant to be torqued down to, you know, 100 foot-pounds of torque. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking this thing apart. Alright, so I want to show you guys what exactly is going on here. So this seal actually has 2 mating surfaces. One of them is this guy here, and one of them is this guy in here. Alright, so if you go to put this guy on, which is exactly how this thing rides, it's more of a dust cover. Alright, I mean it's tight on there, but it's not a seal. When it comes out the other end, when it comes out the other end, it is absolutely a seal. So as you try to push it on, I mean, it's a tight seal on there. So of course, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the other seal out. In this case, obviously, when we put it in, we're gonna apply some oil in there to make sure that the seal stays nice and lubed up and doesn't get dry rotted, torn, etc., which I don't expect it to. I did just notice, however, that on this guy here, trying to take that seal out may be a bit of a challenge. Simply because we do have a shaft there in the way, but shouldn't be that problematic. I'm actually a little more nervous about getting the other one back in, simply because I don't actually have a seal driver that's hollow. So I'm gonna do it the older fashioned way, which is just attempting to push it in on both sides evenly. So tap on the left, tap on the right, kind of go all the way around. Maybe use a wood block. I don't know. We'll see. But this whole thing shouldn't take more than, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. So let's go ahead and readjust and start taking that seal off. So I just want to show you guys what I meant about the differences in seals. So if you look here, I'm pretty sure this seal is for, if I remember correctly, it's for the all-wheel drive, and I think it's for the transfer case output or something like that. But this seal is one of the seals that you can put on the car. But anyway, when you look at it, it's the same diameter out. Right, so when I compared it, same diameter on the outside, OD is good. The only difference is as you can see, does not have that boot cover, and the inside seems, I don't know, the inside was a little bit maybe larger or worn down. I don't really know what the case is, but I'm going to go ahead and put this guy in. I went ahead and cleaned the inside surface, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some assembly lube on there, and I'm going to attempt to use a wood block to put this back in. If that fails, I might be able to do it with just a hammer, so we'll see. Maybe if we do this. All right, so the difficulty here is you have this guy sticking out. You have a shaft in here. You have very little room to play with here on what exactly you're going to be hitting. So you can't get it on there just trying to hit each side with the hammer, because you will bend this this little portion here, this lip. So what I did was I basically took the wooden block and knocked the entire other side in, and then there was this other side obviously popped out and there was a little bit of gap, so I just hit it, you know, I made sure I put the block right up to where it bends here. Make sure you don't catch this rubber. I actually pushed the wood a little bit up to get the rubber out of the way to kind of expose that lip right there where it kind of bends inside, and I just hit it really hard, so by the time this side popped out, this side was halfway in and it leveled out. So, and from there on, I just, instead of hitting up here and up here, I went side to side, up, up. Run your fingernail on the outside here. Yeah, it's good. So all that's left is to, I'm gonna put some lube on the inside of this guy or on the outside of the shaft, whichever, and we are home free. So here's the finished product. The bolts are back on. The seal is back, or I'm sorry, the drive shaft's back on. Seal is in. It actually covers that part that I was showing you guys about on the drive shaft, where it looked like the drive shaft was kind of shiny. So hopefully now it doesn't leak. I guess we'll let it sit for, or we'll drive it, let it sit for a few days, see what's going on. Next thing that I have to do here is I have to go ahead and take care of this guy here, which I guess is just loose. I might be able to just tighten it up, but probably not. It's probably worked itself loose for a while. Not really interested in keeping that thing on here. I might just go ahead, I'll just go ahead and delete it. Maybe down the road one day I'll have a cutout, but till then I'm gonna go ahead and block it off. Alright, so this is one of those good discoveries, I suppose. So just looking at it, we got the 3 bolts here. They're actually welded on, which is cool. I'm just hoping that they line up with this plate here, which looks like they should. For now, I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate this switch, maybe by unplugging it. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it there. Now, normally I would undo everything, but in this case, in order to activate this guy, you do have to press a switch, which on this car is actually somewhat hidden. So I don't expect myself hitting that switch accidentally, sending power to there and potentially shorting something out. So should be all right. All right. Now I will say this cutout did kind of work, but I never actually tested it out fully to see if it actually opens, closes all the way. It was just loud altogether all the time. It actually stunk. So yeah, I'm gonna take care of this now. Okay. Done it pretty damn good. Really what I'm doing here is I'm looking to have the mating surfaces as clean as possible. And what's kind of worrying me, I don't know if you guys can actually see it on camera, but this part here is slightly back and there's stuff already built up in here. So it's not like this flange is flat up against this exhaust. So over time, if it does get loose, it might leak. I'll just have to tighten it. But until then, we'll just have to make sure that the actual mating surface is good, and we go from there. All right. Moment of truth to make sure that this thing actually fits. This would be an absolute disaster if it didn't. But luckily your boy here can measure. I'm going to go ahead and save the hardware, reuse the old hardware with some anti-seize, which if you don't, you should always use your exhaust bolts just in case. Typically I'd spend some more time cleaning up these threads. However, despite what they look like, these guys actually came off pretty easy. So they are collared, so they were actually put on this way. When I put them back on, I'll probably put them on this way. All right, this goes on here. It's pretty. And then come on. Perfect. All right. So, go ahead. These guys. Quick dab. you never know when this thing has to come off, just in case there's a turbo kit that goes on this car down the road. That's a joke. There's not going to be a turbo kit for this car. This is going to be a daily driven family car. Family SUV. Ooh. Crunchy. All right. There we go. All right. All right, that's on there. I don't think it's gonna get on any tighter. Have to break the thing. You know, I thought about unplugging this and just leaving the plug here in case down the road I do want to do something here. I don't want stuff to get inside that plug, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it plugged. I think that's the best option here, but there's the byproduct here. Well, it took a few minutes, so got that taken care of, got that seal. There's one more thing I actually forgot to tell you guys that we got to take care of on this car before we fire it back up. Well, two more things that are a must: oil change and the coolant temperature sensor pigtail, which I'll show you guys here after I lower this thing down. But